Thank you very much, Paul Barnard, for the tag. Says at Hero Hey, might be interesting. Linking me to an article from Bounding Into Comics titled Bayonetta creator Hideki Kamiya reflects on Hellena Taylor backlash, and the rest does get cut off. Here's the article itself and the full headline. As you can see, it's going to be very interesting to see Hideki Kamiya, the man, the myth, the legend, calling out this VA Hellena Taylor directly, commenting on the situation that occurred, I think, back in 2023. If you're not familiar with this situation, hopefully they recap it here in the article, which I presume they will. But really quick, essentially, Hellena Taylor came forward with a public statement about why she won't be returning as Bayonetta, and according to my recollection, she was like trying to demand that Platinum Games pay her more money, and putting out a lot of false information about what they were paying her, and essentially trying to like manipulate the internet into becoming her own personal army to get her paid more. This all ended up backfiring so terribly on her that it kind of just permanently destroyed her reputation, it looks like, at least in my opinion. And so, as mentioned, now we have Hideki Kamiya, Bayonetta's creator, reflecting on the situation that had previously occurred like a year and a half ago or whatever it was, and calling out VA Hellena Taylor as he reflects on what happened. This was also a very important situation because I've mentioned this before, but like for people like myself that have been following VA stuff for years and years and years, we've been aware of how many terrible, entitled, toxic, corrupt VAs are and how bad that industry is, specifically the English voice acting industry. But a lot of people were not familiar with that, and this whole Bayonetta situation with Hellena Taylor was their first example of seeing firsthand how terrible some English VAs really can be. And now, yeah, with that prelude, let's take a look at what they say here at Bounding Into Comics. In finally offering his thoughts on the now infamous debacle involving Bayonetta 3 and the protagonist, former VA Hellena Taylor, series creator and former Platinum Games boss Hideki Kamiya, has admitted that far from the stoic feelings his silence at the time would have suggested, he was actually quite unhappy with how things went down. Continuing. As previously reported, the controversy in question kicked off in late 2022. Wow, it's been like 2 years then, like a little over 2 years. Man, time sure does fly. During an October interview with Game Informer, Bayonetta 3 director Yusuke Miyata revealed that Taylor would no longer be voicing the titular heroine due to various overlapping circumstances. Instead, he confirmed the high-flying witch would be voiced in the franchise's third entry by Jennifer Hale, a veteran VA, whose extensive filmography includes such credits as Naomi Hunter in the Metal Gear Solid series and Mass Effect's female commander, Shepard. After this casting change was made public, Taylor took to social media to accuse Platinum Games and Kamiya in particular of insultingly offering her just $4,000 to do the whole game. We've got some quotes here, and then we've got like part one of her clips. I think she posted 4, if I recall correctly. I don't want to rehash all that stuff, but I think we'll probably just play this one. It's like 2 minutes long. That should be pretty good. And so we'll read this captioning really quick and then get to that. It might be redundant, but we'll see. So some quotes as mentioned. Platinum had the cheek to say I was busy, she noted. Well, I had nothing but time. In light of her supposed firing, Taylor called on fans to boycott this game and instead spend the money that you would have spent on this game donating it to charity. This comes off so fake, bro. It comes off like she doesn't even care about the charity thing. It's just like a part of the virtue signal. Guys, this company's bad because they didn't pay me what I was demanding, which seems to be unreasonable, by the way, but I'm not going to mention that part. Don't buy their game, boycott the game, and donate to charity, guys. See, that's so morally virtuous. I really care about the charity, and I'm not just trying to hurt this company because I was being entitled and asking for way too much. No. Let me try and manipulate all of you and try to look good by telling you to just, like, instead donate to charity or whatever. Again, to me, this comes off so extraordinarily fake. So we got another quote. I understand that boycotting this game is a personal choice, and there are those that won't, and that's fine. But if you're someone who cares about people, who cares about the world around you, who cares about who gets hurt with these financial decisions, then I urge you to boycott this game. I forgot just how much of a virtue signal this really was. Holy smokes, this is so pathetic, dude. Holy smokes. This is such classic entitled English VA behavior. Doing something bad, trying to manipulate people into thinking that you're doing something good, and then making all the virtue signals along with it to try and bolster your manipulations and optics, a whole bunch of pathetic stuff. Oh my gosh, dude. And we've seen this so many times in the recent Genshin situation too. So many VAs have done such similar stuff, and it's hilarious. Like, there's no way I mean, I find it highly unlikely that a lot of these VAs don't know about this whole Bayonetta situation, because this was such a freaking huge situation in the English VA industry. I was going to say English VA industry. But then, shockingly, so many scumbag English VAs took the exact same notes from like what Hellena Taylor did here, and they like tried to copy it, like copy the same playbook as if it was going to work out well for them. Obviously, I'm referring to things like, hey guys, you should all boycott Hoyoverse or like demand that they sign a SAG-AFTRA agreement because we just want AI protections. And meanwhile, there's like a whole bunch of other stuff they're demanding and not telling people about, and trying to, you know, essentially monopolize the industry, as people would say, regarding SAG-AFTRA, the union and all that, getting the non-union people fired and a whole bunch of other shenanigans. My gosh, let's take a look at this clip.
Hello, my name's Hellena Taylor, and I am the voice of Bayonetta, and I would like to explain to you why I didn't voice Bayonetta 3. The Bayonetta franchise made an approximated $450 million. That's not including merchandise. As an actor, I trained for a total of 7.5 years. 3 years at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, LAMDA, with voice coach Barbara Barkery, and 4.5 years with the legendary Larry Moss in Los Angeles. And what did they think this was worth? What did they offer to pay me? The final offer to do the whole game as a buyout, a flat rate, was $4,000 US.
So if I recall properly, and the article will probably go over this stuff too, I believe this was an incorrect amount. She like vastly downplayed how much they were offering to pay her, and I think the session was only, I think it was closer to $15,000 for a 4-hour session. $15,000 for a 4-hour session, according to my recollection. And again, the article will probably give us the exact amount, because I think I might be a little bit off on that. I think I'm probably a little bit off. So we'll get the actual facts coming up after we finish the next minute of this clip.
This is an insult to me, the amount of time that I took to work on my talent.
You can't conflate all your training of VA work as if it was like, I spent 7 years preparing for Bayonetta. No, you like trained apparently for 7 years or whatever she said, like as, you know, training your like vocal abilities overall, VA abilities overall. It's not like you freaking signed some contract that's like, oh yeah, we need you to do like train 7 years for Bayonetta and that's it.
And everything that I have given to this game and to the fans. I am asking the fans to boycott this game.
Oh my gosh. Can you believe she really said that? I'm going to play it again.
The fans to boycott this.
I didn't even rewind it enough, my bad.
That I have given to this game and to the fans. I am asking the fans to boycott this game.
Holy smokes, bro. This is so freaking entitled. By the way, like boycotting the game, first of all, it didn't work. But like hypothetically, if it did, you're now trying that would now damage the game and impact so many people's jobs potentially. Like if it actually hurt the game, you might see people getting laid off or something maybe, all because she wanted to get paid more money, and she, according to my recollection, was not even being honest about how much she was actually making and vastly understating that figure. The entitlement, the ego, the selfishness is off the charts.
And instead, spend the money that you would have spent on this game donating it to charity.
So I'm not going to repeat what I said earlier in the video. To me, it's just trying to cover her tracks and make herself, she's trying to make herself look virtuous, when in reality it's just like selfishness.
I didn't want the world. I didn't ask for too much. I was just asking for a decent, dignified living wage.
I remember that line, the living wage thing. It was like peak gaslighting.
What they did was legal, but it was immoral.
Oh my gosh. All right. Back at the article, they say, further, Taylor also took the opportunity to rally the support of fans, in doing so asking them to send a message to Platinum Games by boycotting Bayonetta 3. And then I believe a statement from one of the other videos that she made. Again, there was like 4 total, if I recall properly. So this quote says, They now have a new girl voicing her over, and I love actors. I wish her all the joy in the world. I wish her all the jobs, but she has no right to say she is the voice of Bayonetta. I created that voice. She has no right to sign merchandise as Bayonetta. Grown woman saying stuff like this. This is also reminding me of John Patnode, the ex-VA of Kenichi, when he kept in his bio for months, I think it was, said like, OG voice of Kenichi. These people are so petty. Any more than I have the right to sign as Eva Green, even though I was her parrot on the video game The Golden Compass. That portrayal is hers and hers alone. Following Taylor's initial accusations, Kamiya would make his only public statement on the matter, writing via his personal Twitter account saying, sad and deplorable about the attitude of On-Truth. That's what all I can tell now, before warning those attempting to interact with him of his rules regarding the on-site blocking of English-speaking users. And for the record, Hellena Taylor had a ton of people supporting her as this stuff was initially going on. You may have seen some of the videos I covered about like other VA stuff and the subreddit R Games, I think it was, talking about the Marine Miller situation with Hades and how Marine was trying to get that game to flip Union and making a bunch of gaslighty statements. At least in my opinion, it came off extremely manipulative and gaslighty. Point being, a lot of people on that subreddit during that situation were saying things like, I'm not going to just believe Marine Miller because I saw what happened here with the Hellena Taylor situation, in which like the majority of the subreddit was just backing Hellena Taylor on this, not questioning anything, just instantly thinking like, oh, VA has to be right. Like, oh yeah, side with her. And it's obviously a very bizarre thing how many people just blindly believe anything a VA says. And for years, VAs were taking advantage of that. And they've been ruining their goodwill more and more because thankfully more and more people have been becoming aware of how they've been being misled, manipulated, etc., etc. But I digress. Far too many people were unquestionably supporting Hellena Taylor at first. And then we got more information and all those people regret what they were doing or, you know, saw that they were being played like fools and hopefully are now more wise to these things at this point in time. We'll get to that shortly enough here, I'm sure. Actually, I think they mentioned it right here. Take a look. Shortly thereafter, a pair of insiders reached out to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier to inform him that rather than just $4,000, Taylor was actually offered $3,000 to $4,000 for 4 hours in the studio, or a total of roughly $15,000 USD. Oh, it's pretty close then. I think that's what I said, actually. Spot on, right? Not only that, but the $4,000 offer was not for the entire game as Taylor claimed, but rather a simple cameo, likely one that had to do with Bayonetta 3's multiversal premise. Oh, I forgot that part, though. Wow. Caught between a rock and a hard place, Taylor would then attempt to rationalize her decision to publicly fudge the numbers. However, with the public's trust in her absolutely shattered, the voice actress found little support, and as such not only saw her profile fade with fans, but given how she has not appeared in anything since, also the industry. And here's the new stuff it looks like. Fast forward to July 8th, 2025, when as part of his ongoing Hideki Replies to Your Comments YouTube series, Kamiya finally offered a deeper reflection on the entire affair. Asking directly for his thoughts on what happened with Hellena Taylor and Bayonetta 3, the series creator declared, per translation provided by him and his team, "There's something I really want to say about this. It's not really about this specific issue, but what I felt when this whole thing happened. Since I was directly involved, it really stuck with me. And since I was on Twitter at the time, I got flooded with messages. Like, seriously flooded. I just called them messages, but they were hate posts. Just tons of verbal abuse pouring in." Yeah, this is exactly what I just mentioned. I do remember that happening. It's just unbelievable. People were just blindly believing Hellena Taylor like that and sending a bunch of hate to Hideki and the Platinum team and all that. Just absolutely unbelievable. So what happened with Hellena Taylor and Bayonetta 3? Comment reply part 13. So how do you feel about that incident now it's over? When I was thinking at the time was, well, I don't know how it is in your country right now, but here in Japan, it's kind of a social issue. Whenever something happens involving public figures, the media covers it, and then people on her sidelines just go crazy over it. Whenever I see those kind of stories, magazines, newspapers, TV, I always think they're only showing one side of the story. Like, this person had some conflict with that person. And then you see a headline like, this person did something terrible to that one. And people react like, unbelievable, that's outrageous. But I think unless you also hear the other side, you can't really understand or judge what actually happened. And honestly, even judging other people in the first place, is that really our place? Like chatting over a meal with friends and going, did you hear about that kind of thing? Excuse me, did you hear that thing? Then saying things like, I think that side was right. Or, no, I'm with the other one. That kind of conversation is totally fine between friends, but now we've got social media where everyone can share their thoughts, and when people just take the visible parts and flat out decide, this guy's the bad one, and start sending them hate, I think that's totally messed up. We gossip news all the time in Japan. How can I put this? Even when I see that kind of news, I don't instantly go, what? That's unforgivable, or screw that guy. That's just not me. Maybe I'm just a bit cynical, but even when someone says, he said something awful, I don't immediately go, that's terrible, how dare he? First I go, oh really? And then I start thinking, why did he say that? Or what led up to that? Or what was going on behind the scenes? That's the part I'm curious about first. So when all this stuff happened to me, it just made me believe that even more. It was wild. My Twitter timeline was just flying by in real time. It was insane. Just scrolling nonstop. I kept blocking nonstop though, but even my speed couldn't keep up. So I was like, what? They're coming in faster than I can block them? What? Freaking poor Hideki had to deal with so much nonsense over this. Anyways, that's not the point. People were saying whatever they wanted. Even famous people were jumping in and throwing comments at me. And then once things calmed down, I went back and looked, and they had quietly deleted their tweets. Oh my gosh. He then says, hey, apologize to me first before you do anything sneaky. That's a real coward move right there. You posted it publicly on social media, right? So if you were wrong, you should publicly admit it. Say, hey, I messed up. Own it. At least that's how I try to be. I may act like this, but I do have my own code. If I'm not wrong, then no, I absolutely won't apologize. No chance. But when I am wrong, I'll own it properly. Drawing his thoughts to a close, Kamiya ultimately declared, man, that was some seriously lame. Or, excuse me, man, that was seriously lame. I'm the kind of guy who really holds on to stuff like that. I'll probably keep bringing it up forever, and I have no issue with him bringing it up forever. He has all the right in the world to, in my opinion. He was wronged greatly by that VA and by way too many people on the internet, and I think it's something he's absolutely warranted to bring up because, first of all, it's something that happened to him, and second of all, it's a great example of many things. For example, how English VAs can be, but not just that. Also, unfortunately, how far too many people on the internet don't question things and just blindly believe anything that they see at face value. But yeah, that is the situation summarized. There's a little bit more to it than that, as mentioned, a few other clips that we didn't go over and whatnot. But I did talk about all that stuff years ago when this happened. I covered the whole thing. Didn't want to rehash everything here, but enough context. Enough information to get the context right there and then see Kamiya's recent statement about this stuff. And I gotta say, man, I think he's handling it pretty well in his reflections here. It was a freaking mess. But yeah, good write-up by Bounding Into Comics. Let me know what you guys think about Kamiya's reflections and the situation overall. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed my coverage. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing. Also, have a great weekend ahead. Appreciate ya, and I'll see you in the next one.